welcome to another episode of Lie, Cheat, and Steal, the podcast about liars, frauds, thieves, and bullshitters. We are a bi-monthly podcast, and if you haven't already, be sure to give us a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening to us on, and leave a short review. That's one of the easiest ways to help and support the show. We also release 2 more episodes every month on Patreon, so if you like what you hear, visit patreon.com/lie, cheat, and steal to sign up and get 2 more scam stories every month, as well as access to our entire back catalog. Anyways, that out of the way, with me as always is my co-host Kath Barbadoro. How you doing, Kath?
Hi, Pat. I'm good. I'm sitting under a blanket as Hurricane Ian rages around me, and rages is probably a strong word. It's raining. And it's cold.
No, you know what? I'm all for it. Crank it to 11. Say rages.
Exactly. I'm sure the people in Florida really appreciate me being like, yep, I'm a victim of Hurricane Ian. By which I mean I'm a little chilly in my house. Yeah. That's how I'm a victim. I'm getting all cozy. I'm excited to curl up on the couch and listen to a tale of lying, cheating, and frauding and bullshitting.
Yeah, man.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm back in Texas. I was just on the road for like 3 weeks, and
welcome
it
back.
was a stressful one because there's good people who listen to the last episode. I didn't bring my car with me on this trip because my manager was like, no, I got you these guys. They got vehicles, so you can leave your car at home. And we do three stretches of 5 days of shows. So I did 5 days, 2 days off, 5 days, 2 days off. And the 5 days are really cool. I'm not putting miles on my car. I'm not really driving at all. I'm just kind of hanging out in the passenger seat. Plenty of time to tweet. It was just an amazing time. But then like the 2 days in between where I had to do like the handoffs to get to different areas was a nightmare. So I'm so happy to be back home. I'm at my apartment. I'm in Texas. There's my girlfriend's dogs are running around. That's always fun. It's just it's good to be back. Yeah, I didn't do anything yesterday. I was jet lagged for the first time in a long time because I was on the East Coast for like 2 weeks, and then I flew back and was just tired as shit. So that was took a nice long nap. I didn't do anything. It's fantastic. I'm having a really good time.
Beautiful. Glad to hear it.
Yeah, I was out there in Florida. I got to see a lot of the like I said, with just lakes where there shouldn't be lakes. You could just see that like bodies of water over what were people's front yards. It was pretty nutty. I also got to go to a bagel place in Boca Raton, and so a lot of
are the Boca bagels they good?
Delicious. There's a place called Brooklyn Water Bagels, and like they fly the water from Brooklyn, they boil it. But Boca Raton, known for being a popular vacation retirement destination for people from the New York, and there's a lot of old New York Jewish people hang out in this bagel place. Every person in there was a personality times 10. It was incredible. Beautiful. It was, like there was one guy, I was getting my order taken, and the guy came up and he tells the guy, hey, my coffee cup is all messed up. And he gives him the coffee cup and he walks off, and the guy straight up, Larry David, was like, messed up. Well, what is even the concept of messed up? I was like, what the fuck? Is this real? It was a lot of fun, though.
Beautiful.
I had a blast. Yeah. I was down there by the water, and I was looking out at all the I got a segue here. I was looking out at all the boats, and I went and I got some seafood. At one point, I got a couple shrimp po' boys out there by the Gulf, and I was like, man, love me some seafood.
Delicious.
Never been a huge fishing guy. Like I like a lot of the activities that run parallel to fishing, like getting drunk. And
God, I feel exactly the same way. I would love to sit on a quiet lake and drink beers, but I don't want to stab a worm.
Yeah. I think that's one of these things. It's like just have a friend that fishes. They pretty much need somebody to stand next to them to do that.
Yeah.
So
I look very cute in a bucket hat. Like everything else about it I love. I just don't want to stab a worm or have a fish. I don't want to have a fish at the end of it. No, thank you.
Yeah. That seems to be I pretty much the same way. I also look great in a bucket hat. I just, that's what I take. But I think the whole world got a glimpse inside the world, not just any type of fishing, but professional fishing this week, and a huge cheating scandal that went viral on TikTok. And really showed
every sport is having cheating scandals right now. It's crazy.
We
got chess. Chess
Yeah,
has
oh
got some
yeah.
stuff going on. Poker. There
Poker,
was that thing
the
with
the Yas Queen,
the hot
poker
lady. Yeah. The
What
hot
did- what
poker
did she-
lady.
What did she do or not do? She basically just bluffed the guy, right?
So basically, here's a mini episode inside this episode.
yeah, bonus, bitch.
Basically, the world of high stakes poker has been dramatically altered by advancements in technology, where now there are computer processing systems powerful enough to run like millions of simulations of poker hands. And so like the entire game has now become acting in accordance with the probabilities that these poker algorithms tell you. So
wow.
that's like the entire game now, which takes all the fun out of it, I think. It's basically just people memorizing and practicing on these algorithms. But what she did was like she made a bunch of wild calls that go completely against all of these probabilities, essentially bluffing the guy, but bluffing the guy in like a really like she also had nothing. Like it was probabilistically she would not have won that hand. She just kind of got lucky. But all she did was bluff him. She didn't from what anybody can tell, like she didn't cheat. She was just like, I don't like this guy. I think he's lying, so I'm gonna go all in. And like, it's just a classic triumph of a Chad over a virgin. That's what it is. Just a nerd and his little printouts could not beat someone who was sensing the vibe, and I respect that. I think that's great.
Oh, I like just fumbling through papers like a scientist in a disaster movie.
Right.
He's just like,
the clip of it is really interesting because he has like a little man baby meltdown about it. Like he cannot handle that she beat him. And
that's so tight.
It's very funny. Yeah. That guy seems like he sucks. I'm like, I guess it's possible she cheated, but I think she honestly just made a bad call, and then because she won, didn't own up to the fact that she made a bad call and was like, yeah, I beat you. Like, which you should do. You don't owe anyone an explanation.
Yeah. Sometimes if you're really wrapped up in poker and you have a very extreme opposite opinion to this, and sometimes you need somebody who doesn't give a shit to come by and be like, no, that doesn't actually matter. That's,
right.
Sometimes you need a fresh perspective to tell you that, no, it's cool that lady won.
It's cool. Regardless of whether she cheated or not, it's cool. She's cool. I like her. Yeah. Case closed. All right. Your mini episode has concluded.
Worth it? Yes. All right. Moving on. So, I was seeing the one out of the world of fishing. And I was blown away by this. It's such a great video. But it really, I never thought much about how susceptible like professional fishing is to cheating, and some of the lengths they'll go to stop it, and how, like there's ways you can do it, there's ways you can get away with it, and I just want to dive on in and set the scene here for you.
Dive on in, get it?
Hey.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys fell for that one. Hook, line, and sinker. So
hey,
we'll stop. All right, so I'm gonna set the stage for you. It's Friday, September 30th. Also known as just the other day. All right, this is very recent. We're in Cleveland, Ohio, on the shore of Lake Erie, the mistake by the lake. A huge crowd. But that's the best name for a city I've ever heard.
Very good.
A huge crowd is on hand for the Lake Erie Walleye Trail. Walleye is a type of fish. It's of a bass variety, I believe, but they're called walleyes.
When I lived in Iowa and waited tables, the restaurant I worked at very frequently served walleye. It's very good. It's a good freshwater fish.
Hell yeah. Well, it was a walleye. So this is the Lake Erie Walleye Trail, known by its fans as the LEWT. So the LEWT is an open fishing tournament for pros and amateurs alike. It was started by a group of friends in 2004, and this tournament has become, as one former winner put it, a place where a regular Joe in a 14-foot aluminum boat can walk away with a 6-figure check. Say less, brother. Oh,
man. I bet all these guys are so folksy like that. I love that.
They all seem, man, they seemed like, I watched a bunch of interviews with this, and like I watched an interview with the tournament director who called the fraud, and I'll get this way up. I'll get this way up top. They understand how there's fresh eyes on the world of professional fishing, and they are appalled that this is how they got there. And they assure you that 99% of these guys, man, they're just out there, just doing the best thing they can do, doing what they love, making a living.
There is honor in this sport.
Yeah. And you know what? The way these dudes, like, anybody who's seen the video, like, there's no spoiler. These guys almost get ripped to fucking shreds. Like, some police officers show up, and that's about, like, and that's off camera, but from what I understand, that's about all that saved them. These dudes are about to get picked apart.
They were not down to have people disrespect their sport.
Yeah. Not at all. It's funny because other sports, it's like, whatever. Like, these guys were like, nah, man, this is what. And what's funny is there an older lie than a man talking about the size of the fish he caught? Like, I think we've been telling that lie.
That is, like they say, prostitution is the world's oldest profession. The oldest lie is saying you caught a bigger fish than you.
Yeah. We've been doing this forever, and so it's just kind of funny.
Since the invention of communication, people have been lying about this.
Well, like, one of the guy, the tournament director, said on a podcast interview that he did, he was like, "Man, I get it. If I catch a 5-pound fish for my buddies and I'm fishing, I put it on Instagram. I'll say it's 8 pound. I hold it away from my body and I lean back so the camera makes it look bigger." He's like, "But when you're doing tournament fishing," he's like, "that's different. This is people's money on the line, you know?"
Sure.
And so this contest, it consists of multiple days and events. And by the way, if you guys tune in for the world of fishing, welcome aboard. Happy to have you. I may get a lot of things wrong by the details of this. I assure you, it's all good fun. Just hang out, divorce yourself from that hang up for a little bit, and we'll have some fun. So, the contest consists of multiple days and events. And on this last day of September in 2022, there was a near $30,000 pot riding on the outcomes of the weigh-in. So among the entries, and these are on 2 Fisher teams, were professional anglers and kind of local legends. I guess that's a little bit to be disputed, but these guys were making some waves in the fishing world. Hey, it's a lot of that, folks. Tune off now if you don't like that. But so these guys are named Jake Runyon and Chase Kaminsky. And I have very good friends named Jake and also ones with the last name Runyon. So this is like, I'm just imagining my friend Jake Rowe and my friend Ian Runyon as in one person.
Sure.
So it's Jake Runyon, Chase Kaminsky. Now, Jake and Chase were sponsored by Ranger Boats, and the last couple of years have seen them rake in nearly $300,000 in winnings.
Damn,
so
that's a living.
It's for sure a living. And
Catching fish.
I heard how a lot of this fishing stuff is, as the tournament director whose name is just perfect, Jason Fisher. Come on, guys.
Perfect.
So Jason Fisher said, he's like, none of this is really about money. He's like, that's obviously that's a big thing for people who do a pro, but a lot of these guys, he's like, that show up at these tournaments, he's like, they pull up in $250,000 boat truck combos. Like it's right. Really about bragging rights and about pride. And so, I believe this one was $100 to enter the tournament. And enough people entered it that this one in particular was damn near, it was like $28,900 were on the line.
Nice.
So,
but yeah, it's all like, the money comes from the entrance fees. It's not like a sponsored.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not lucrative necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. And like the guys who do it usually have like enough money to buy like nice equipment. Like they're doing well enough. They're doing very
well enough that they fish recreationally on their own boats, so they're probably not hurting.
Exactly. So that's why I feel like there's like baked in a little bit of like I don't want to say a purity test, but it's like, they're all there for pretty morally just reasons. Like they're there just like to win this contest. Yeah, for the love of the game. Yeah. So their wild success, Jake and Chase, their wild success hadn't come without its suspicions within the angling community. See, as I said, humans have been lying about the size of fishes since the dawn of time, long before huge tournament payouts and corporate sponsorships. So it should come as no surprise that this has been a serious issue in the sport, and governing bodies within it take it very seriously. But this can present a few challenges when the very nature of your sport requires you to be alone for hours. And you can't really go rolling up on them in a boat to check, because they'd be like, well, fuck, man, you scared all my fish away pulling up in your boat.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So they do it on these large bodies of water like Lake Erie, where you have hundreds of miles of coastline. And they go out there. And so because of this, they take some pretty wild, I knew nothing of this until I started researching it. They take some pretty wild precautions to make sure, that nothing goes down this way. Like, for example, they do polygraph tests after it's done, where they straight up ask you, did you follow all the rules? Did you break any rules? Did you do this? Did you do X, Y, Z? And you can get, and people do get disqualified from these things for failing the polygraph.
That's why that is so wild, because like that seems both like simultaneously way too intense and also like fake. Like, like the stakes do not seem high enough to warrant a polygraph test, but at the same time, polygraph tests like don't work.
Yeah. I think it's one of these things where it's like it's peace of mind maybe or whatever. I don't know.
I guess, I mean, I feel like it like I don't think it really like tells you that much in most that I mean, obviously I know it's like not admissible in court, but like my understanding was that it was like pretty much ineffective. So I don't know, just a weird choice.
Yeah, they also do voice stress tests.
Huh.
Which
okay.
I guess, if you got the guy who just spent 9 hours on a boat fishing, if he sounds stressed out, he'd probably hide something. It's like,
how is he upset?
Yeah.
He's got to sound real relaxed at that point.
Yeah. Also, I love to quote Peter Griffin when he got home off the boat one day all drunk and he was supposed to take Lois out. He goes, "Lois, I just hung out with my friends for 9 hours getting drunk in a boat. I need some me time." So this is what I didn't know. I didn't know how many ways there were to cheat in a fishing contest. My mind was blown.
Oh, hell yeah. I love this. Give me all the ways.
Yeah, so I kind of want to ask. I want to ask you. So how would you, if you were tasked with winning a fishing contest, you could not lose this. You had to make sure you did everything in your favor to win this contest. How would you go about it? What's a plan you'd have?
Okay. There are a couple things I would do. I mean, I know these guys put weights in the fish, which I think is a decent strategy. However, the fish do have to be handled, so that's not great.
Yeah.
I would probably bring in ringers. I would probably get some big fish ahead of time and smuggle them into my boat.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the ways that people do it. They'll have friends sneak up in a little boat and deliver pre-caught fish.
Yep.
And then another one is, so they'll section off parts of the lake you can't fish in. So let's say, for example, if it's a part where not as many boats could fit, but there's a huge population of fish there, they're not going to let you just because you know this spot.
You got there first or something.
Yeah, knowing spots is a big part of it too. Which again, it's just interesting because it feels that's, I guess, you have home field advantage in other sports. I guess it's just like that, but. If you watch the video, when these guys, when their insane weight comes up on their fish, the judge giving them the benefit of the doubt for a second was like, I know how y'all did that. You got, because one of them's from Ohio, one of them's from Pennsylvania, so they're both Lake Erie, regulars. He's like, that's just you guys knowing Lake Erie, knowing where to fish and looking for those spots. But that's a big thing. Is if you know the body of water you're fishing at. Also, if you just learn, you learn how fish act in huge bodies of water. And one thing we'll come to find out, all these dudes know everything about fish.
Sure.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem illegitimate to me.
No,
that's just part of the sport, right?
Yeah,
but I guess
that's all
in a
good.
Restricted area is the cheat.
There's some spots, where they're just that's too easy. We're not going to let anybody fish over here, or for whatever reason. Another one is it's kind of a ringer, but with it's a mixture between the ringer and then getting the fish delivered. Basically, they'll get a bigger fish, put it in a cage, and then go and drop it off in the lake a couple days beforehand.
I like that.
Yeah, that one seems real cool. They'll go get the big fish out of it.
Because then, that's maybe giving yourself an advantage. Or what if one of your opponents catches that guy?
Yeah.
I feel like there's still some skill involved in that.
Yeah, or if one of your opponents catches it, and then it's a whodunit. It's we found a fish in a trap, so
I see. They leave it. I thought you meant they release it into the lake. No. That makes more sense.
Yeah. But also,
I thought they just had to go fish it. Yeah.
Your opponent still could find that cage and not say anything and just take it out of it. And be well, you know what I'm saying? But also if they're
point,
if they're 99% of the fishermen are, according to every one of these fishermen, it'd be 99% of us would never do that. If they're these other guys, it feels like that would shake shit up. If they're hey, excuse me, judge, I found a fish in a cage out here, and they gotta be okay, well, who who looked like they might have been heading that way, who was going towards it. Can we track this cage to somebody? That seems fucking, that's like Knives Out.
That's a crime for Columbo right there.
Yeah.
That's a Columbo crime.
Hell yeah. And the other one, which is so we have the guy stuffing them with weights. I guess another thing that's done is stuffing them with ice. Because
interesting,
it's like stabbing somebody with an ice pick, or hanging yourself on an ice block, or whatever the fuck that riddle is.
So So you catch the fish and then you stuff it with ice and then it gets weighed.
You stuff it with ice, it gets weighed.
It melts and the water comes out of it.
Okay. Yeah. The evidence melts away. So that one though, if it hasn't melted yet, you're in a pretty awkward situation.
Sure.
But even with all this precaution, it should come as no shock that people do still cheat. And this, again, the Chase and Jake are far from an isolated incident. I found just a little bit of Googling, and I found another one that took place, and this one actually ended up with felony convictions. And
damn.
Yeah. So this was it takes place in Utah. So yeah, Lake Powell in Utah. So this is from the website Newser. It says there's a reason a fish story has become synonymous with the unbelievable. 2 fishermen have pleaded guilty to felony charges for lying about some impressive fish entered in a Utah fishing tournament. Robert Dennett, 45, and Cameron Wooten, 35, who I believe is a wealth management guy. Like, I looked them up.
Makes sense, yeah.
There just so happens to be another Cameron Wooten, and he has he spells Cameron like Cameron the rapper, but with a K and no apostrophe. But Cameron, yeah, so I believe he's, unless there's another guy in Utah who is a wealth management dude. But so yeah, it's like, why do you have to cheat in a fucking fish contest, Cameron? You have 8 wives and you manage people's money for a living. Like I don't know.
You have like a gajillion dollars and you live in Utah where the cost of living is like $200. So maybe lay off on the fish cheating.
Go drink a 3% beer and hang out with one of your 9 sons. All right, we know how you get down, dog. So yeah, they were one of about 25 teams looking for a largemouth bass with the highest total weight in a 2-day fishing tournament on Lake Powell in Big Water in October of 2018. After the first day, the pair were in second place and had produced the largest fish overall. But their 5 fish were of a... Oh, we're going to get into how they break down the... You have every fishing tournament, you fish all day, and then you turn in your bag.
You bring your best.
Yeah, and they call it the Fat 5.
Fat 5. You bring your 5 fattest fish.
Yeah, 5 fattest fish. Then you bring the 6th sheep, and then you sell it all down by the seashore. So... Yeah, so their 5 fish were of a different shape than the ones their fellow competitors pulled from Lake Powell, suggesting they consumed a different diet. Also, they had reddish coloring on the mouth and fins, a sign of stress, meaning they were like, hey, this ain't my fucking lake. Yeah. So the Wildlife Resources Division called in an investigator who questioned the men. He said one of them started to kind of acknowledge that, maybe the fish hadn't come from Lake Powell. Then he very quickly asked for an attorney. And then the other individual didn't say anything. A lab eventually determined the fish couldn't have come from Lake Powell, and officials learned the pair had been in a fishing spot at another spot 180 miles west before the tournament began. They pled guilty to tampering.
Do you think if you get an attorney for a fish crime, you should get a maritime lawyer?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, he's going to get like just Michael Bluth, just young Michael Bluth. Fucking, yeah, dude, yeah. There has to be like SVU fish crimes. Fucking.
I guess you have like a fish and game person, but I assume it's maritime law. That someone should try to claim international waters when they do this.
Me and this fish are a sovereign citizen of separate countries. So the lab, they pleaded guilty to tampering to influence a contest, a 3rd-degree felony, and misdemeanor charges.
That's crazy.
Yeah, right. I feel that's a little weird.
Influencing a contest is a 3rd-degree felony. So like, if I cheated at like a county fair, like sack race or something, it would be a felony.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I have evidence here that Kath did not snarf nearly as many pies as we were led to believe.
Exactly.
Also, wouldn't everybody from like the 2010 FPIA fucking go to prison? The funniest person in Austin contest. They instituted online voting one year, and every comic in the online voting category just set a bot to vote for them 18,000 times a day. And it's the comedy contest in a city. It's the 10 people who essentially won 4th place are in a contest, and somehow they're winning by margins of like 80,000 votes. Yeah. So yeah, the charges. So they were charged $2,500 and 48 hours of community service. Also, the charges will be dismissed once they complete the terms of their probation.
Okay, won't be on their record. That's good.
No, so he can still manage wealth. So he'll be all right. So
he'll make it.
Yeah, somehow he'll be all right. So this is clearly not the first instance of cheating in professional fishing, but it's also not even the first instance of cheating for Jake Runyon and Chase Kaminsky.
Oh my God!
Yeah, these are the bad boys of angling. And like last year at the Lake Erie Fall Brawl Tournament, eagle-eyed fans would have noticed that the duo, who had been the lead for the weekend, had been quietly removed from the leaderboards with zero explanation given by the tournament.
Controversy. Trying to sweep it under the rug.
Yeah. They didn't want their 2 biggest stars. This is like, these guys are the future. And they are relatively young. They're younger than I would imagine a lot of these guys to be.
I bet, yeah. I'd imagine the average age at these things is like 72.
Somewhere around there. But yeah, so at this point, as had been customary in the brawl, where about $500,000 in cash and prizes were on the line this year, the big winners must take a polygraph test once the tournament ends, ostensibly to make sure all the rules have been followed. Runyon said he took the brawl polygraph December 1st, and his finishing partner, Chase Kaminsky, was also polygraphed a day or so later. About 5 more days passed before Runyon received a call from brawl organizer Frank Murphy, who sounds like a guy to put together a brawl. Frank Murphy telling him that one of them had failed the exam, and I guess he wouldn't say which one.
Interesting.
This seems like a power play. It's like one of you guys is
we'll
lying.
See if who's gonna stick to their story.
Yeah, he just breaks a fucking fishing pole over his knee and throws it between the 2 of them. He's like, fight to the death. Yeah. So Runyon and Kaminsky had also entered in the Walleye Slam, a second big payout tournament that ran the same time as the Brawl, with modest entry fees, $35 for the Slam, $30 for the Brawl. Many anglers entered that year. There was 7,300 people involved in it. So at the $30 one, that's still it's what like $21,000. So
yeah.
Or wait, no, that's $210,000. I forgot the zero there. Yeah,
they said 500,000 were on the line.
Yeah. 500. Yeah,
money.
these are insane amounts of money. So the Walleye Slam follows a similar post-tournament protocol, with the winners of the cash top prizes sitting down for the polygraph to make certain they finish inside the rules. Runyon and Kaminsky took the Slam test in Toledo, with the polygraph administered by a professional who'd been doing this for 40 years. This is the guy who can tell you're lying about fish.
That is
his
an
superpower.
odd specialty.
Yeah. He's like, I'm sorry. He's said at a family gathering. He's like, go back. You said you were in Ruidoso, and how big was it? Oh, man, it was like this fucking big. Oh, that's weird, because the spotted anglerfish doesn't really get that big in the Southwest region. It just gets you laughed out of the fucking family function. I loved it.
Humiliation. Yeah. Laughing stock.
Yeah, so the Columbo of fish liars. So, but like they were told. They said the guy looked. He said Runyon said that his line was completely flat, but they still said that he failed for some reason. But what's funny is that this tournament itself, the brawl, not the LEWT, the Lake Erie Walleye Trail seems a little more above board. The brawl, which takes place in another part of the season, that one has like a long history of just like people like having a fish that weighs in at 12 pounds, and they're like, oh, I could earn $65,000 on that, and then they just disappear from the standings. And like there's no
okay.
Yeah, so
there's more corruption at the brawl. So the fact that these guys like failed their polygraph is not unprecedented.
Not unprecedented, but considering what would go on to happen, it makes it of note.
Sure, yeah, definitely.
Because suspicions turned out to be valid this past week in Cleveland after the tournament director MC Jason Fisher called the leader standings at the weigh-in. Now, if you guys have seen this video, it's very funny because it's a wholesome world. Like, this guy is he's kind of making fun of one guy. He's like, oh, this guy got married. His wife's a saint. I can't believe she puts up with him. Oh, I'm just kidding. In a few years, I'm gonna have some kids running around. It's very wholesome stuff. And
very
the guy's
cute. It seems like a pretty small world. I think everybody probably knows each other.
For sure.
Nice.
And the dude seems like he seems like he's really enjoying it. He's good at his job. He makes it. He knows, and this is going to come into play later.
I mean, this is like his day too.
Yeah.
This is what this guy lives for, because he has some day job he doesn't love, and then this is his passion, is being the fish official.
Yeah, I think he's a cop.
That would make sense for this kind of banter. I see it. Yeah.
Yeah. He also the dude was good at what he's doing, and he said as part of this, as his job, is he has to know a little bit about. It'd be like if you try to do play-by-play on wrestling. I mean, it's scripted, but if you don't know what those moves are, you're gonna sound like an idiot, you know.
Sure.
And so he has to know what means what. Like he was saying, if somebody comes up, and they have a 6-pound fish. And they need 9 pounds to win the thing, and he doesn't and he goes, oh, he needs 9 to win it, and it's only 6. Like it doesn't really have that big. He needs to see what it has, and if it's oh, that's possibly it. He needs to know how to set the stage and create a little bit of drama, and he does the job. He does it really well. He's up there, he's MC, and he's doing great. Crowd's having a good time. Well then. But as he was said, that day was a particularly bad day for fishing. He said there was reports that everybody was pretty sure the water temperature dropped to a little less than the fish were comfortable with, and they might have receded lower or to other parts of the lake that were off limits. So, and he said,
what do fish do when it gets cold?
I don't know, because if you go down further, it'd be colder, wouldn't it?
Right. What are they doing down there?
I don't know. Yeah. If you're a fish and you're listening, please reply lcspodcast@gmail.com and just really let us know, what do you do? And fuck just when it's cold. What do you do all day? I don't know. What are you up to?
What's up?
Yeah.
What's up? Don't you get tired?
Yeah, I almost reached out to a friend of the show, Lawson Bennett, to have him in on this, because I was like, I don't know shit about fishing. I was like, unless Kath's been hiding something from me, I don't think she does either. And I was like, so I was gonna call Lawson, and I just remember the time that his band got sued by Bass Pro Shop because they changed their logo to the Bass to be a send up of the Bass Pro Shop logo. And
I bet Bass Pro Shops is constantly suing people for that, because it is a great logo that people are constantly ripping off.
Lawson's defense was that it was a carp. He's like, we changed to a carp, which is funny. He's like, I guess there's a joke there, like carps are bottom feeders or whatever. So he was like, yeah, it's a carp. It's hilarious. They're idiots. Yeah. Lawson been a man who's had to defend himself with parody laws more than your average citizen. So, yeah, if you guys are fans, go check out the horse hunting episode with Lawson Bennett. And he also was our field agent in the earlier episodes.
Yeah,
great guy.
Some classics.
Knows a lot about fish. Yeah, which I've heard no one has ever been a fan of. And then everybody's like, get past those, and it gets pretty good. So, yeah, so he said the weights were reflected like this, that it was bad fishing all day. And he said, people were coming up with, 3.5 pound fish, and you have 5. So, you have 5 3.5 pound fish. You're looking at 16, 17 pounds. So how you do, so you have your fat 5, your 5 biggest fish, and you fish all day, and you have this little basket. That's the one you turn in, and you can constantly replace that basket. You go, oh, got a bigger one. You come out, you go in.
Right.
So you start off your weigh-in session by doing your big fish. And it's literally called the big fish. And you take your biggest fish and you weigh it, because that's like a best in show kind of thing. It's its own separate category. Mm-hmm. So you can win big fish.
Right, like
and
your
still
combined
lose.
weight probably gets a prize, and then biggest fish gets a prize.
Precisely. So they do big fish. So this guy goes up, and he said, so the judge said he saw the bag, and he was like, again, I got to know what these things fucking look like. And apparently, if you're skilled at that, you can take a look at their eyes, and there's a gauge. You can use it like an actual gauge tool to see how big their eyes are. It tells you about how big the fish is, because they're just correlation to each other. But
I see. So that's a way to tell if it's been sort of artificially.
Yeah.
Its weight has been altered in some ways. A fish with an eye of this diameter is likely to be around this weight.
Yeah.
Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and he said he looked at the eyes. He was like, okay, that's about a 20-pound bag of fish. And then he said they throw their their big fish up there, and it weighs out to 79 grams. That's 4.93 pounds. That's 5 pounds. That's like 2 extra pounds on this fish. And he's like, that can't be right. And like also like one of the guys I was watching, a YouTuber that does a fish. Well, he normally does a NASCAR channel, and he said, you know what, I had to stop doing. I gotta break from tradition, and I gotta speak on this fish incident. And so,
Addressing the allegations.
Yeah. So he was talking about how he's a part of a lot of fishing groups on Facebook, and he said, dude, it happens all the time. People post up in the group, and the same thing that guys say about Instagram. He's like, they post in the group, they go, oh man, look at this 5 pound. He's like, and the guys in the group, we know what 5 pound fish look like. And we go, no, that's not. That's a 3 pound and a good fish, but no, it's not a 5 pounder. He's like, but contest, different story. You're playing for money. You know, it's time to just, play by the rules. So This dude sees it. He says, I know something's up. So they throw the rest of their basket on there. If I'm not mistaken, they needed 21 pounds to win. Is what they needed to win first place. So they throw everything on there. And he was expecting a 22 pound bag of fish, which it seems like they could have won anyways. The whole basket weighed up to 33.9 pounds, damn near 35 pounds. That's almost saying every fish in that basket is 7 pounds. And he was like,
which they said the big one didn't weigh that much. So
there's
no way that the whole bag weighs that much.
Yeah. So the host knows something's up. And then at this point, you can start hearing the crowd grumble. The crowd's like, here like, oh man, ain't no way it's a 5 pound fish. Fuck that. No. You hear a lot of ain't no fucking way get said quite a bit. And so the judge, like, and this is straight up some cop shit too. The judge was like, actually, I want to get some pictures of those fish. Can y'all step aside and just wait right over here? Like, which is like the most cop move. Hey, I have a undetermined interest in what you're talking about. Yeah, come on over here. Now that I got you over here. So. Yeah, so he goes, he tells him to step aside, and you can hear the crowd starts grumbling. And homeboy calls for his knife. And he, like, goes in there, and he cuts open the fish. And this is the dude who, like, 3 seconds ago was, like, riffing with the guy about, you're going to have some kids here in a few years, mister. Give it up for him. It was a very congenial and talented MC and host. And immediately, he yells out a line, which I think is going to go down in internet history. And he goes, we have weights in fish. We have weights in fish. He might as well.
All hell breaks loose.
Yeah, it was like he yelled, "Open up this fucking pit." He's like, we have weights in fish, and all these dudes who are in like fishing jerseys covered in sponsorships, Oakleys, and hats that are on the correct way, and the brims are bent in ways that would make Ben Shapiro proud.
It's the meme of like your mentions when you say something like, your mentions when you say trans people are real or whatever. All the guys with the Oakleys and the baseball caps in their cars. That's who's freaking out about the fish.
Exactly. They pull up on these dudes, and it's like legit, like, because the dude the guy, there's other videos, so there's countless. It's one of these things, like, it's like the goddamn Boston Marathon bombing. There's a video everywhere of this. Like, everyone had their cameras out, and so you can see there's one where they're like right up on the guy as he opens it up and finds it, and the dude is just standing there. And he lets him do it. He doesn't say anything. This is Jake. And like, it's one of those things where he was like, damn, we see this a lot. This is a type of scammer where it's like he still thought he could get away with it. Like, he still thought, because
he was like, I'll find a way out of this.
Yeah. So overall, in their 5 fish, they were stuffed with 2 weights each. There was 10 weights total, but he also stuffed them full of fish fillets, like tilapia fillets from the store. I would imagine maybe if you put them in there, like, okay, and again, if you are a fish, tell me if this is how your stomach works. At lcspodcast@gmail.com. But I would imagine if you open a fish's mouth and you put 2 tilapia fillets in there, and then between those 2 fillets, kind of like when you put your hands together with your friend, it looks like a vagina, like that. If you slide the lead weights into that corridor, if somebody were to gut that fish, would they be more likely to just cut through the fish's meat and then the layer of fake fillets and not see the weights?
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I guess like you could think it was part of the fish's tissue if you were if you were
Yeah.
slicing it open, I guess is the
But-
logic. Not
Yeah,
great logic, but I kind of see it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I completely see, but it sounds like of all those ways to cheat that we discussed before, this is like the least effective because these dudes, like I
Right.
said, they know everything about fish. Like those one guys got caught because the guys were like, "Hey, those fish fins ain't the right color," and they were like,
they're
like,
shaped like they have a different diet. Like
yeah.
Of course, like if they're measuring the eyes to know how big they are, like you're gonna get caught. This is a very dumb way to do it. I agree.
It seems very dumb. It almost to the point where like I definitely think they did it. It's just kind of like, how stupid are y'all? So the guy was like, he said as soon as he went to go feel the fish, and like he said this on a fishing podcast, and he just goes, and I mean, come on, you guys know what a Lake Erie walleye feels like, and everybody nodded like in agreement, like, oh yeah,
Of course, yes.
Apparently, it's
obviously don't even need to remark upon it. Yes, we all know.
So apparently it's got a firmness to it, and this was not firm. It was mushy, like it was packed with store-bought fish fillets.
Right,
And
it was mushy like a fucking Sam's Club tilapia fillet.
Yeah. So then, like, man, I remember one of my awakenings in life when I realized that tilapia was actually a bad fish.
That's not nice.
I had no clue. Zach Brooks had to tell me. He's like, "That's trash fish, dog." I was like, "Really?" He was like, "Yeah, no, it's not good at all." I was like, shit, man.
I still keep it in my freezer. I still got some tilapia fillets. I'm not picky.
Right? Yeah, but so like, so they just do that. So, then he said he could also feel the weights in there. So another thing that people, so they get mobbed, and honestly it looks scary as shit because the guy, he could have stepped out in front of it and been like, "Hey man," pulled the guy aside and was like, "Look, dog, I cheated. Can we deal with this? You can publish it later, but we deal with this like behind the fucking the tour bus
Not you
right here."
yelling to everyone here that we have weights in fish.
We have weights in fish. Not even there are weights in the fish. There are weights in fish. That's all you need to know. that was like when a carny yells out, "Hey, Rube," and it's just like, oh, it's about to go down. So yeah, he said there's weights in fish. And fucking all hell breaks loose. And because the guy decided he was going to hang on to the last minute, he's sitting there. These guys are all up in his face. They're asking, "Give me my fucking money back. Give me my fucking money back." And then like somebody yells out, "You guys were winning all these years and you were just losers." Which like,
that's beautiful.
Yeah, just the most scathing, just like right to the point. "Oh, you guys have been winners all these years, but you were just losers." And it was like, what do you even do at that point? This is the most correct man in Ohio.
Disgraced.
So he says that they end up essentially, the whole fucking like fishing community goes into an uproar. These guys, everybody starts going back and looking
Turmoil.
they go back and they look at all of their fucking past winnings. And here's the thing, I don't think they're gonna be able to get all those winnings back because there's no way it wasn't contested the day of. There's no way to prove it. But
right, all those fish have already been pan fried and to crispy golden perfection. And then if they were cheating in the same way for all these years, that's crazy because this seems so obvious. I'm sure they were up to shit, but like, did they really put weights in them before this? Because like, you'd think someone would have noticed, you know? Yeah,
that one feels like the fact that like it was like, so you see these guys were like, "Hey, like you cheated, that sucks." But there was like an insult. It would be like and this happened to me before. I was at a comedy contest in Connecticut, and a guy went up and just did all Mitch Hedberg jokes that he advanced, and it was like, it's like that's like the insult.
Right. It's like, it sucks that I lost or whatever, but also you're disrespecting this thing I care about. And that's what weights in fish is.
Yeah.
Disrespect.
We have Mitch Hedberg jokes.
Exactly.
Rice is great when you're hungry. You want 2,000 of something. Anyways, so they go off. And so these guys have said they denied wrongdoing in previous tournaments. I don't know if that was based on their reaction to the brawl dust up or if they've made a statement, because all the other media things I've seen said they have not made a statement. Nor has their sponsor, Ranger Boats. They have not made a statement. I went and checked the Ranger Boats website, and they're no longer included on their pro team.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pat, you're doing
Or
your
I could just
research,
not know how to
man. You're getting up to the minute website updates here. I love this.
Also, very possible I don't know how to navigate the Ranger Boats website. But I'm feeling they showed a bunch of guys on there, and none of them were named Chase or Jake. So like, I'm pretty sure they have scrubbed Chase and Jake from their.
They're off the team.
Yeah, you guys are off the team. I mean, when you get kicked off a fishing team, they just drown you. I think
they make you walk the plank for sure.
Yeah. So those guys got out of there, but what kind of so they ended up doing a different winner. Obviously, they went back to the other guy, the second place guy, and this was a gentleman by the name. I just want to give a shout out to the guy that ended up winning. This was a gentleman by the name of Steve Hendricks, and he basically said he wants they get the max penalty. That's what he asked.
Death.
He said, yeah. Yeah, their bloodline should be squashed out. So yeah, he goes. He said the same thing. He said, he goes. So much of this means so much to anglers. He goes, this is what they love to do, man. They're out here trying to do a great job. It's unfortunate that a select few can come in and ruin it for them. So I hope they get the max, which again is lethal injection.
Right. Yeah. Firing squad for sure.
Yeah.
It's all over.
So, that being said, well, what I will end on the observation that made by the former or the usual NASCAR YouTuber who decided to break his silence on what was going on in the world of fishing, which was his second love.
He's just like he's on the hick beat. He's like racing and fishing. It's all overlapping fans.
Yeah, some like newspaper chain that was bought by Jeff Foxworthy, and it's like he uses it how like Bezos uses the Post. But so yeah, this guy was like, he thought it was morally wrong that they were making the fish eat fish. He goes, I know fish eat fish, but come on, man, you made them eat fish.
That's the only thing there is to eat. Of course they eat fish.
And then he said it was messed up. They're shoving lead down there because he was like, I don't know. He's like, I bass fish. We throw them back. I'm not going to give a fish lead poisoning. And then I like his stance on that.
I like his style. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
Then he said, finally, he was like, these dudes might as well sell all their fishing equipment. He's like, they don't need all the stuff they have because all they're going to doing now is fishing for fun. He's like, and all you need is a rod and a reel. He's like, they don't need those boats. They don't need those rods. They don't need those reels. He's like, because they will never be allowed near the sport of professional fishing ever again. And they'll always be remembered for this, not for...
They just got to get back to their roots. Like, just let them... They should be fishing with a stick with a string tied to it. Remember why you loved it before you got corrupted, Before you got cynical.
I have a feeling like Kanye is going to bring these guys out in his next like album listening party. Yeah. It's going to like Marilyn Manson, DaBaby, these two guys, and like I don't know, fucking he's going to break Jared Fogle out of prison. I don't know what's next on his fucking on his moves list. But that's the story of the guys cheating a fish. Worth it? No. You're because like again, I harken it back to comedy for me. Like there's ways that I could that any comic right now can jumpstart your career. I could just start saying I'm anti-vax. I could do all this dumb shit that would probably make me a couple $1,000s in bookings for a year and a half, and then we just crash and burn. It's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable, and you would lose the respect of anybody in this industry that you care about. Yeah. And I feel like that's if these guys were doing this for any reason beyond a good grift, then it's absolutely not worth it. Because they've disgraced themselves, and they've also made all of us pay attention to the sport for the worst reason possible.
Yeah.
The thing that they loved so much, like you've brought dishonor upon it,
Yeah, that seems to be like the consensus among these guys. And I feel bad for them because I didn't know last time I never kept up with it. My childhood barber had nothing but fishing magazines laying out, so I read a few articles. Nice. I don't remember a single person's name. I know which fishing rods were expensive at the pawn shop, and that's it. And so this is like the first peek into the real world that the mainstream that their sport saw, but a couple of the more optimistic optimistic ones have been like, this is going to be an opportunity to show people how we really do things. And I'm like, buddy, I like that. But I think people are more taken by the cheating. But I hope not. I hope it goes big. Now that people have
listened to this episode and they know how the competitions work, maybe some people get interested in it.
Yeah.
Check out competitive fishing if you're sounds appealing to you. Don't cheat though.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, if you get out there, if you got there because of us and you cheat, then you are shaming us the same way those guys shame fishing.
Exactly.
And we will not stand for that. But yeah, that's the story today. Worth it? Probably not. That being said, guys, you guys can check us out. We are on Twitter at LCS Podcast. And big announcement, we're going to start having our episodes as well as some video content up on YouTube. So a whole new place and a whole new way to enjoy Lie, Cheat, and Steal. I'll have more info for that as the weeks go on. You can find me on Twitter. My name is @Peezy. That's PeezyTX. I tour all the time. I always have my dates posted up there. Kath, you got anything for us?
Yeah, I have another podcast called What a Time to Be Alive. It's a weekly podcast where we talk about dumb, funny news stories. I think this story will also be on What a Time to Be Alive this week. So check that out. I'm Kath Barbadoro on social media. I post all my dates on Twitter and Instagram. Check me out there. I live in New York and do stand-up around the New York City area. Thank you so much for listening, everybody.
Yeah, guys, take care. Fall is upon us, so get out there, have fun, be safe, be smart, but above all, don't get caught.
Don't get caught. See you next time.